Hey, thanks for joining me today. Today, we are talking about whistleblowers. You know, those brave souls who risk their lives and careers to expose corruption and wrongdoing, or as our government likes to call them, traitors who should be locked up forever. Seriously, folks, whistleblowers are the unsung heroes of our times. They're like the canary in the coal mine, except instead of singing, they're blowing the whistle on corporate malfeasance, government corruption, and all the other shady dealings that we'd never know about if it weren't for them. So now people say that whistleblowers, they're just troublemakers. They should keep their mouth shut, do their job. To which I say, you ever hear of Watergate, Pentagon Papers, Enron scandal? All of those were brought to light by whistleblowers who had the guts to speak up, and even when it meant putting themselves in danger. And yet, despite all the good they do, whistleblowers are still treated like pariahs in our society. Just ask Edward Snowden. He exposed the NSA's illegal spying program, and all he got for his trouble? One-way ticket to Moscow. So let's make one thing clear today. We need whistleblowers. We need them to keep our institutions honest, to shine a light on the corners, on the dark corners of power, and to remind us all that in a democracy, the people are supposed to be in charge, not the other way around. And if you're not convinced, just remember this. Like the last slice of pizza at a party. Nobody wants to share it, but everybody's secretly glad it's there. So, let's raise a mug to all the whistleblowers out there. And remember, folks, if you see something, say something. Unless, of course, you're a government official, then you should probably keep your mouth shut and hope nobody finds out. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show. Best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Talking about whistleblowers, and for this April 14th, 2023. Name's Tom Coffee. It's the Coffee and Nuance Show. I always have a cup of coffee with me. Nice. And we got a couple things to talk about today with the whistleblower, or the leaker, or the traitor, or just depending on what news channel you're watching, what your news source is, about these leaked documents. But we also got a couple other stories that I want to tell you about. I'm going to talk about the leaker who was arrested. Marjorie Taylor Greene has made some comments about it that, let's just say, are not being received well from most of the media. South Korea, they are actually going to pay people, young lonely men, to leave their room. I'll tell you about that. I do have a fact check, as it is Fact Check Friday. And Joe Biden has told Ireland he wants to lick the world. I'll tell you about his latest gaffe. And lastly, I do have some good news, especially if you're a Mac fan. So anyway, stick around for that. Looks like we got a healthy stream, which is good. We've got a number of people in the chat. Good to see you there. Duggo hit me up with a tip over on Rumble. I appreciate you, Duggo. Thank you much for Fact Check Friday. So I'll be sure to do a fact check today. That's for sure. But let's get to this. Let's get to this first story. About this whistleblower. Oh, here we go. All right. 21-year-old member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, Jack Teixeira, has been arrested by federal authorities in connection with the investigation into the leak of classified documents on the internet. The FBI arrested him at his residency in North Dayton, Massachusetts, where he lived. Classified documents were found online last month and had exposed potentially hundreds of pages of intelligence about Russian efforts in Ukraine and spying on U.S. allies. Military records show Teixeira holds the rank of Airman First Class and has been in uniform since he entered the Air National Guard September of 2019. So it's interesting to see how this is being covered. The papers apparently are real. You know, you don't go out and have a whole SWAT team run in and get a guy unless there's something to it. So that's an assumption. That's an assumption that we can make, that the documents are legitimate. And what are the documents telling us? Well, pretty much they're telling us that everything that you've been hearing about how things are going in Ukraine is kind of the exact opposite. That's what these papers say. These papers also talk about the U.S. doing some things that our allies might not like very much, such as spying on them. Of course, we know that that happens, but to actually see the leaked evidence of this is, well, it's no shock to me. No shock to me. But again, what is really interesting is seeing the corporate media's response to this. It's not, hey, what's in the documents? Hey, what was exposed that, should we check on that? Oh, no. Let's go into who this guy is. Let's kill the messenger. Or as I put in the thumbnail, let's smear the messenger. This is exposing bad stuff. I guess I would call it bad stuff, right? But it is exposing what the U.S. government actually thinks about what's going on in Ukraine, not what they are putting out in the press. And that seems to be important stuff. But to most of the media, let's dig through the background of this guy. Has this guy ever done anything? Oh, he's a gun enthusiast? You're kidding. You're telling me that somebody in the National Guard might be a gun enthusiast? But that is coded speak, right, on MSNBC, right? That's coded for, this guy's a right-wing radical, probably likes Trump because he's a gun supporter. Yeah, smear the messenger, but don't actually look at what the message was. It's an interesting take. And I challenge you that when you hear someone make this argument, think if that's a good argument that they're making. Smear the messenger. Let's get rid of the messenger, because that's what seems to happen. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene had a response to this. And let's look at what she had to say. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene launched an effort to rebrand Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira, who was arrested for leaking classified intelligence documents, as a victim of President Biden's administration. Greene tweeted that Teixeira was an enemy of the Biden regime and told the truth about troops being on the ground in Ukraine. Teixeira had posted the documents on a private Discord server, and members of the server said there was no intent to whistleblow. Greene's stance is a stark reversal to what she said about previous leaks. Now, it's interesting, even this article that I am quoting link in the description to all the articles that I reference, really did a disingenuous thing there, saying that her stance on leaks is different in this case than it has been in past cases. In past cases that they're referring to that there was a leaked Supreme Court documents that were leaked, and she said that they should find the leaker. So you can see, you can see the conundrum there. But in this case, she's not saying to not find the leaker. She's saying that what this guy did is he's bringing light, shining a light on what's happening in Ukraine, and perhaps war crimes, perhaps if it is true that there are U.S. forces on the ground in Ukraine, that's an illegal war, right? War has to be declared by Congress. You can't just go around that. And going into, starting a war, especially with one of the biggest nuclear powers, should probably be squared with the American people. It should probably go before Congress. We should know about it. This should not be secret. That's why they want to punish this guy so much. So she is standing up for the whistleblower, for exposing some of the things that are happening in Ukraine. It's funny. There is such a visceral reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I think that personally, I get a kick out of people that get that reaction from people. I don't know if she worded it the best way. But I do I kind of get a kick out of people that just trigger other people. I know that AOC does that as well, when AOC says some things in a bombastic manner. And there's a lot of people on the right just freak out every time AOC says something. I kind of get a kick out of that too. I enjoy that. Because one of the things is, if someone triggers you, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you hear Marjorie Taylor Greene said something and immediately your reaction is to, right? If that's your immediate reaction, you're in cognitive dissonance. You can't listen to it. You really need to check yourself, okay? Because that's one of the things that you really need to examine. That if someone sets you off just because of who they are and you're not able to look at what they're actually saying, that's on you. That's not on them. That's on you. And I challenge you to find out, who are the people in your life that just trigger you like that. I know MTG triggers a lot of people, but who is that for you? Because everyone has someone that they just can't listen to, even if they're speaking the truth. We went through several years that any time that Orange Man had something to say, it didn't matter if it was nonsense or if it was 100% true. Many people would not be able to tell the difference because of the mouth of who it came out of. And so that's what I want you to think about on this Friday. Think about who you can't listen to. Who cannot you listen to? Because that's an interesting question. But South Korea is trying something unusual to reach some young people. Let me tell you about it. South Korean government has approved a new measure to offer a monthly living allowance of 650,000 won, about 500 bucks, to reclusive youths in an effort to encourage them to leave their homes. The allowance is part of a wider program that also offers education, job, and health support to those experiencing extreme social withdrawal. Approximately 350,000 people aged 19 to 39 in South Korea are considered lonely or isolated. The new measures aim to strengthen government support to enable reclusive youth to recover their daily lives and reintegrate into society. The program expands on measures announced in November, which included a monthly cultural experiences allowance for teenagers. South Korea is also tackling a rapidly declining birth rate and high youth unemployment, which the government hopes the new measure will help to address. Well, that's an interesting approach. You got a lot of these people that are just really reclusive and they're stuck in their room. Everything is online to them. And what do you think about that? Having an allowance for cultural experiences, giving them money so that they can go out and do things in the public. You know, sometimes you just have to try different approaches and see if it works or not. And so they're trying a program. Who knows? Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But I get it. You know, I'm not 21 and, you know, reclusive. But I understand being alone. And one of the most important things that you can do for your physical health and your mental health is to be around actual human beings. That's so important. That's why I try to get out every single day and do something around other people. I make it a point to actually talk to people in real life outside of my house every day, so as not to be one of these total recluse like they have in South Korea. So this is an interesting idea. What do you think about it? I think, you know, 500 bucks, 100 bucks a week to be able to go out. That would, you know, that would pay for going to a coffee shop, paying to go see a play or go see some live music, go to an event, go to a museum, whatever. Get out and go to something that perhaps that little bit of extra money might be the push that they need, might be the support system that they need, but maybe not. Do you think it'll work? I think it will work for some. Most? Who knows? But then the real question is, how many people, if they do this, what would you consider a success? They're giving 500 bucks a month to all these kids that are stuck in their room, young people that just don't want to go out. What percentage that decided to become, you know, that would jump out and become a member of society and interact with other people? What would you say to be that a success? Because if you said, well, I want 99% of people to do that, otherwise it's a failure, I don't think that that's fair. So what do you think? I think if it helps a quarter of the people, I think the program would be a success. That's where I would put the number, but you know, I'm just looking at it from afar. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And next up, what do we got? We've got a fact check for Fact Check Friday. All right. This is... I need a tip jar where I can just keep putting money in when I say, all right, all right. Got to do that. Okay. It's a hard fact check to find today. But this, I think, if you've been following my channel, I think you'll be wise as to what happened with this fact check. Okay. So let's look at it. This is from Reuters. Fact check. Satirical article on Budweiser losing $800 million in one day, taken seriously online. So immediately we can see just the phrasing of this doesn't sound very unbiased, does it? It doesn't even sound unbiased. It sounds like an incredibly biased article, which, by the way, fact checkers, you should not have the title of your article sound really biased. But this is under Reuters fact check. So this is an article about Budweiser brand owned by brewing company Anheuser-Busch losing $800 million in one day following the collaboration with transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney stems from a satirical website, but has been mistaken as authentic online. Mulvaney's sponsorship with Bud Light, a brand owned by Anheuser-Busch, triggered transphobic commentary and conservative backlash. Again, if you're pretending to be a fact checker, you should at least try to phrase things in a way that don't sound completely biased. A Reuters video report can be seen here. A tweet sharing the claim has been viewed more than 441,000 times. Okay, so someone did a tweet here and says, Budweiser loses $800 million in one day. Oh, okay. It says the claim originated from a satirical website called Patriot Party Press. The About Us page on the website states that it's part of a network of so-called America's Last Line of Defense. So the stock price graphic for Anheuser-Busch shows no significant losses visible in the first few days of April. Okay, so verdict. This is what they say here. This is satire because it was published on a satire website. Okay. Well, that's what Reuters claims. Well, let's just take a look at, again, when we look at the whistleblower and the coverage of the whistleblower, right? Are you going to cover what was uncovered? Or are you just going to smear the source? And that's what they're doing here. They're smearing the source. They're saying that this was a satirical content, so therefore it's false. But let's take a look at this Daily Mail article. Let's see what we can find out here. Bud Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch, has lost more than $6 billion in market cap in just 6 days after Dylan Mulvaney partnership sparked backlash. Okay. Now, I do want to highlight after. You know, the word after here. Just because something happened after another event, it doesn't mean that it's the cause of it. Okay? It could be. It very well could be the cause. In this case, I think it is the cause. But this is a trick that is used often, is saying one thing happened and then another thing happened, and in implying that they're related. In this case, I think they are, but not always. Just be aware of that. In the days leading up to the announcement, shares of the brewer had been trading around $66. And as the market closed Wednesday, the beer giant stock was trading at roughly $63, more than 5% decrease in Anheuser-Busch's total share value. Well, that's pretty significant. That's pretty significant. And when we look at the chart here, it is true that this started at the beginning of the month, and not a whole lot happened until the 10th, which is what the Reuters article was saying. They were saying, look, there wasn't a significant drop the first couple days of the month with the Bud Light thing, so therefore there's no effect. Well, I don't think that most people heard about this story until earlier this week. That's kind of when it took off. When it first came out, I saw it immediately, and I tried to verify it. And in fact, the first couple of days, I couldn't get any verification that it was true. I saw that it was posted on this person's Instagram account. I saw that. But I didn't know if they were officially sponsored by the company, because initial reports were that Budweiser was not even responding to media requests. So, if we look at the stock chart here, it didn't drop until news actually came out that it was real. And that's when the stock price dropped. Okay, so this person, I don't really even like covering this person or the subject in general. I'd prefer to not talk about that topic. Today we're just talking about a fact check. It says the stark decline comes after Anheuser-Busch's stock price enjoyed a brief uptick. Says shares have since fizzled, with the drop coinciding almost to the day with the newly announced partnership between Mulvaney and Anheuser-Busch's best-selling beer brand. Okay. So this is a person, I don't understand why this particular person is being pushed so much. I find it really bizarre that so many corporations and places are pushing this particular individual. But here, see, they got their face put on the can. The thing that kind of disturbs me about this person is not that they're trans. Who cares? Who cares, right? The thing that bothers me about this particular spokesperson is that they act like a child. Okay? This is a person who's 27 who prances around and behaves like an exaggerated version of like a 9-year-old girl, and I think that's really weird. They're not acting like an adult woman. They're acting like a child, and I find that kind of off-putting. I think that probably that's the reason that a lot of people find it off-putting. But we see through the stock chart that pretty much to the day, the stock started dropping, and it dropped really fast when, it was actually confirmed that this was a legitimate corporate co-sponsorship. Right here. Okay. But what did Reuters do when they fact-checked this? Well, what they did is they were able to, and by the way, there were other articles, legitimate news sites that were posting about this, and Reuters didn't choose to talk about any of the legitimate news talking about how Anheuser-Busch market cap was tanking. They chose to find an example from a satirical site. They chose to find a tweet that they could debunk rather than looking for an actual article. And they didn't actually debunk the article, but that's what these fact checkers do. It's as if they have some kind of bias. It's as if they have some kind of agenda. That's what it appears to me, because the conclusion that they have is that this is satire because it was posted by a satirical website, and they're not actually checking the fact. They're not actually checking the fact. if Budweiser's market cap dropped. So in many ways, they're smearing the messenger, and they are not addressing the actual claim in this case. So shame on Reuters. Once again, they did not do a great job on that. But let's get to something a little bit lighter, shall we? U.S. President Biden received a standing ovation from Irish leaders after saying he wanted to lick the world with them during a banquet at Dublin Castle. Although the statement was interpreted by some on social media as a gaffe, it was applauded by those in attendance. Biden's comments followed an invitation for the U.S. and Ireland to achieve anything together. So I just want to show you this because it sounds unreal, doesn't it? It sounds unreal that he would say that. But here we go.
My heart, there's nothing our nations can't achieve if we do it together. I really mean it. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
Turn it up just a little bit. Let me try that again. This is Joe Biden. He actually says, lick the world.
There's nothing our nations can't achieve if we do it together. I really mean it. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
So that's not fake news. He did say it. What did he mean by it? I have no idea. He could just be thinking about ice cream because, well, that's what he does. He, for whatever reason, I don't understand it, but his team thinks it's a good look to have Biden, every time he goes out, he seems to be posing with a waffle cone and he's eating an ice cream. It seems kind of weird to me. Doesn't seem very presidential. To me, that's my opinion. Occasionally have an ice cream, but it's just weird that he's always doing that. Maybe that was on his mind, but I can't read his mind. But it's kind of embarrassing. Now, what I find interesting, because it is Fact Check Friday, when I look at what the fact checks are doing, fact checkers aren't checking to see if Biden actually said lick the world. It's as if they expect it. Why are there more fact checks this week, this month, and 2023 about Trump, the last president, than there are about the current president? That's kind of weird too, don't you think? Well, I want to tell you something else about Biden. His latest gaffe came just days after he accidentally mixed up the All Blacks, a New Zealand rugby team, with the Black and Tans. Yeah. This is what he said. He said, this was given to me by one of those guys right here, Biden said at Windsor Bar on Wednesday, referring to the tie he was wearing. He says, he was a hell of a rugby player. He beat the hell out of the Black and Tans. And Biden claims Irish heritage. As someone with Irish heritage, you're out. I kick you out. You don't say Black and Tan in Ireland. Now, the drink Black and Tan is made with Guinness and Bass ale. And it's historically offensive connotation in Irish history, referring to a British paramilitary force that was formed to suppress Irish independence movement in 1920 and 1921. As a result, it's recommended to order the drink by a different name, such as Half and Half, when at an Irish bar. Ben & Jerry's also faced backlash in 2006 for releasing an ice cream flavor called Black and Tan. So I know you don't use the term Black and Tan, but apparently Biden, who claims he's this big Irish guy, Irish heritage. Just says black and tan. Slip of the tongue. Even when we're talking about the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team. This guy's embarrassing. But I think one of the issues is most of the media doesn't even cover all of his goofs, because he goofs every time he's in public. He goofs. I don't know. Whole thing's kind of weird. Whole thing's kind of weird to me. But anyway, let's get to some good news. Okay, let's go here. All right. Steve Jobs Archive has released a new free ebook called Make Something Wonderful, featuring a collection of photographs, speeches, emails, and interviews from the late Apple co-founder, including some never-before-seen content. The book covers Jobs' history with Apple as well as his perspectives on events throughout his life, including his time at Pixar and Next. The book is available on the Archive's website and Apple Books, and has a direct download is available. The book opens with a quote from Jobs in 2007 and an introduction from his widow, Lauren Powell Jobs. So I think that this is nice. This is nice. If you are a fan of Steve Jobs throughout the years, if you admired what he did, I think that this is just kind of nice that they've put together a book and made it available for free, so you can go revisit and maybe learn a little bit more about his life. It's nice that not everything someone's trying to make a buck off of. Obviously the Jobs family doesn't need money, but I think putting this out is a nice thing. It is a good trend, and I hope that more people can put out, share biographies of people, put it out for free. That's a nice thing for this. That's some good news for this Friday. Anyway, that's all I have for us today. Stick around the after show. I'll be going through your comments. Let me know what you thought about the stories. Remember, all articles, I will leave a link to every article I talked about today in the description of the video. So thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing the after show, and I will see you on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend, y'all. Peace. All right, good to see everyone here in the after show. Oh, John is back on top of things. At least one thing is right in the world. That is true. Natasha said that. Apothecary John checking in first in the chat. Good to see you back, John. I know you've been gone a couple days. Let's see. Hi, Tom. Hi, chat. Nice. I'm glad that people are here in the chat. A lot of... Someone says, I had no idea how to pronounce this fellow's last name. I'm not sure about his last name either. I could be wrong how I pronounced it. Natasha says, I think it's Tashira. Well, that makes sense. It could be Tashira. I usually try to make sure that I can pronounce everyone's name. If I go through the show beforehand, if there's something I'm not sure about, I usually try to search for it and try to find the right pronunciation. Didn't do that today. Natasha says, Fauci triggers me. He probably triggers me as well. I think I'd have a hard time accepting what he would say now. Miranda says, going out is hard for me. I'm 68 in poor health. I'm lonely, but it's such a chore to go out. I even have to live stream worship at my church. That sucks. That's tough. That's tough. Now, if you were in Georgia, right, you could, from the story a couple weeks ago, they have those all-terrain wheelchairs that looked pretty cool. They had looked like tanks. But that's I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you do have the ability to live stream. What a great time to be alive, that we're able to connect with people from all over the world from our house. That was kind of unheard of. When I was a kid, they didn't, there was no internet, and I studied computer science, and when I was in college, the internet was still just text. They didn't even have graphics yet for the internet when I studied computer science back in the day. Says, I'm not much of a beer drinker, but I did convince one friend to boycott Tranheiser-Busch. Okay. Delusion should not be promoted and celebrated. Delusion should be fixed. Who cares, Tom? There are many parents and siblings out there who are horrified and traumatized by this lunacy. That's who cares. Well, to clarify, I kind of meant who cares that they exist. I don't care that if someone wants to, if they think that there's something that doesn't really bother me. I think the issue is when it is pushed on other people. That's the issue. Yeah. So I think that there's a difference between existing and something being pushed. And perhaps I wasn't real clear as to what I said that. Sounds like win over with slang of lick. Okay. Miranda says, I am trans. Okay. Well, okay. So we've got trans in the show. Okay, cool. In the chat. Let's say, it says, Erie Fairy says, I'm pretty isolated where I am now, so live online communities, especially book clubs. So I'll be moving, though, so won't be so isolated anymore. That should help. I hope it does help. I do think that this is one of the big issues, is people being isolated. That was a big thing over lockdowns that was really hard on so many people, especially if you lived by yourself. And I know that there's also difficulties if you live with a lot of people. That can be tough as well. But being isolated is really tough. I mean, that's why, they're called crazy cat ladies, right? It's because they're living with their cats and they're not interacting with people. That's one of the things that if we don't get out and are able to interact with people, we kind of tend to get a little bit weirder right? That's the trend. And so I do think it's really important when you can to be able to be social with other people. And if you have to be social online, that's better than not being social at all. So that's good. And I'm glad that we live in a time and we have this technology that we are able to do that. Thanks for the show. Thank you, Apothecary John. I appreciate you more than you realize. Apothecary John did set up the Discord chat, so you can go check that out. And what's kind of nice is posts inspirational memes. Seems like every day we got some inspirational little memes posted in there and some things like that. So you can check that out. Link in the description. I enjoy it. And I know that is, one of the things that I like about doing this show is I'm just able to share my thoughts on things, and you all listen to it. And I feel like the feedback that I get is very genuine. And so that means a lot to me. I feel that, a lot of the people that I see in the chat, boy, if you lived here in Portland, it'd be cool to have a potluck. It'd be cool to get together because you all seem like such lovely people, and building this up has been a real joy for me. So I just wanted to go out this weekend and thank you all for that. Anyway, as you see, I'm still working on the production here. We'll keep plugging away over the weekend, making improvements, and I hope you are able to plug away and make improvements in whatever you're looking to do as well this weekend. And I'll see you back on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend. Peace.